one of the things that I know that, like, watching some of your streams, people always put you in the camp on the left with the Democrats. What do you think is one of the things that Democrats do the worst and like have fucked up the country the most with? In a way
Democrats
that kind of
are so bad at populist messaging. They're insanely bad at it.
Yes.
The problem is that like the Democrats as a whole, broadly, on average, are led by a bunch of 1990s Clintonite neoliberals. These are arrogant people who came to political prominence during a time when there was no meaningful, well, not no meaningful, but not many significant differences between the two parties. Every time they publicly disagreed, they would all go out and do the same like golf course together. Like there was no real like beating heart disagreement. And as a product of that, I think that the Democrats are really bad at understanding like the state of affairs. Even people like Biden, who has changed a lot in the past couple decades and has been at times quite aggressive in ways that I definitely approve
racial
of.
super predator.
Yeah, he's come a while since then, that's for sure. I think, but even with people like him, the problem is I don't want Democrats to be like kind and civil. I don't want Democrats to be like, oh, here's the better reasonable option. I don't know why none of them called Donald Trump a pedophile. He's literally a friend of Epstein. This is a self-admitted mutual friendship that both of them bragged about up through years and years of mutual acquaintanceship. Like,
yeah, doesn't he all like have 21 allegations of assault also?
Yeah, like, and since they're all like, this narcissist, this uncivil man, call him a pedophile. Why not?
Well, don't you think that doing that would just exacerbate some of the partisanship that we're seeing in the country? Isn't like, as a politician or someone who's like, if you were in a position of government, wouldn't one of the things that you would try to do is have the country not fall apart?
I think the problem is that I think that people who support Trump are orcs, and I think that they respond to strength more than anything. If they responded to civility, they would have gone with Ted Cruz, not with Donald Trump. So Democrats being civil doesn't win them over. Democrats being civil makes them think that we're being smug. I think that the best thing that we can do is demonstrate that we have the strength and conviction to lead the country, because that's what sold them on Trump. Not Trump being civil, because of course he's not, right? But rather Trump indicating that he was above this civility politics bullshit, which the Democrats need to do this. Even the Justice Dems are bad about this. They still have to play ball. Yeah. You have like AOC sobbing as she votes for the fucking Israel nuclear dome, so that if a Palestinian child gets within like 10 miles of the Capitol, they get vaporized after having a talk with Nancy Pelosi. Like, there's so much shit the Dems try to do to keep it all under wraps, and I don't want it to be under wraps. I want it all to explode.
How do you toe the line then, right, between like a politician who's actually good at piloting the ship, but he's also a sophist. He's also a great carpet salesman, right? From like Plato's allegory, Socrates, like
that's the trick.
Allegory.
The GOP ran into this problem too, because Trump wasn't very good at piloting the ship, but he did the sophistry.
I mean, yeah, and this is why we had 1 million people die.
Like basically, what you said, Vaush, about what you want out of the new Democratic Party, and then Don saying, "What if we overcorrect to people who aren't very good at running things?" That's basically what the GOP did with Trump.
That is true. They fell towards fascism, right? The fascism has been latent for a while, and then with people like the MAGA hats, they're very overt with it. And of course, fascists are bad at governance. They're very bad at it. So, the neocons are great at governance. They're very competent, but they're also not capable of hitting those same populist messages, because the most they can do to win public support is by appealing to things like racism, but without fully committing to it. I mean, what are you even doing, right? I think the best thing that we can do is to acknowledge the fact that like fervent populist left advocacy does not need to come at the cost of competence. It's possible, like Bernie Sanders, for example, very civil guy, very civil. Like, he wasn't even on the Dem stage. He wasn't going that hard against other people. But there was
kneecapped by the DNC.
Right, but there was a kind of fire to the way he talked, an indication that he wasn't part of the regular rigmarole. And whether or not you get there by calling Donald Trump a pedophile, which he is, and I think that's a fair statement, or get there with this, like, us, the 99% against the, like, however you get there, if you get there, if the Democrats could do that, they would win every federal election from now on. Like, they would never lose the presidency again. It would be over.
I think what would happen pretty quickly is everyone would just start calling each other pedophiles even harder.
Oh, because the right doesn't currently do that already. The right has. That's the civility politics game, where it's like, if you go low, they'll go lower.
Political partisanship.
They already go really low, though, and I don't think it's going low to call DJ a pedophile, though. Like, really,
No.
friend of Epstein.
I mean,
like,
no,
I think that's fair
that
game.
Donald
Yeah,
Trump.
Epstein was an influential guy. Not everybody. Like I am.
No, but like for this,
Epstein
the
freaked
same
out.
way anyone on the right criticizes the Clintonites and Epstein and makes that connection, every single picture where Hillary Clinton is hugging Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump is there too, right? So like we have to recognize that Donald Trump is a real estate mogul in New York, where the Clintons are from, right? Tied all the way back to Tammany Hall. Like this is corruption all the way down. And while it's right that they are also, Trump is a pedophile. Again, I think that I do worry that once you create that, like, oh, we're gonna win not because we're going to fix gerrymandering or not because we're gonna create voter enfranchisement because this country is overwhelmingly Democrat and we stop the cracking of districts of communities, are we going to be able then, like, once Democrats take control and do this like populist messaging, going to be able to therefore stop that organization
I'm
from just
saying do
reverting into
both.
fascism itself?
Lean
Do
into
both?
both. Like, there's no reason. That's the thing. That's the dynamic. They don't have to be separate. You don't have to be. It's not a balance of like civility and competence versus incompetence and uncivility. You can pick and choose. Fascists are uncivil and incompetent. Neoliberals are civil and competent. But I think that populist left-leaning people can be both uncivil and very competent. And the incivility is always a means to an end, right? There's no actual political gain to saying that Donald Trump is a pedophile unless it moves people over. But I think that appeal to strength is big. Like, the right, there are lots of people on the right who will vote for Trump, but who don't really like him that much. The polling indicates this, His approval rating is pretty low with the country generally, but even within the Republican Party, it's about 50-50 on whether they're hardline Trumpers or just people who are going to side with him because DeSantis fell through and like Chris Christie's a lunatic. Like it's so there is like a
Personally, I love
fracture here.
Doug Burgum. Personally, I'm a Doug Burgum Republican.
Well, probably not going to win in 2024, I'm sorry to say. I know, hey, maybe 2028. Whatever the case is, there are people who can be reached. And I think that a big part of, like, what we have to understand is, this is largely an urban-rural divide, and that shows itself in every, like, demographic polling bit we've done.
Yes.
Within a state, by county levels. You can literally look at, like, a U.S. map from space and see which areas are cities and which aren't based on who voted red or blue. A lot of this is, like, the imagined liberal coastal elite versus, like, good old home, salt-to-the-earth, rural American Republican. And I think that dynamic is bullshit because wealthy people are more likely to vote Republican. It's actually the opposite. Like, coastal elites, that's Donald Trump. But as long as people believe that, all the liberal incivility in the world isn't going to move them over. I think we need to we need to find that balance. There needs to be more rhetorical fluidity. But the Dems are very consistent. That's why I get excited when I see even like little stuff like AOC doing her little Instagram stories. Like, even that is a huge departure from what's normally a very hegemonic approach towards outreach.
Should we use the same approach that corporations take for what we call in the private sector marketing, in the political sector is propaganda? Should we take that same approach, that same marketing approach that academics learn when they go to universities, and employ that within democratic measures and democratic governance?
No, I don't think so. I think that's part of the problem. The Democrats listen to their strategists. Trump didn't. Yeah. Like, Trump didn't go with what a bunch of GOP strategists wanted him to do. He ignored them and ended up doing much better than anyone expected.
And I think that's part of the reason why I think DeSantis is failing is because he's listening to a strategist.
Agreed.
Too much. He comes off so artificial. And yes. Like, just give me grumpy, onerous Ron. Like, it's gonna work better than and obviously like perform and like obviously memorize like stingers on the debate stage. It's artificiality is something that's really easy to see and that everybody hates. He needs to ignore.
People want authenticity. People are like screaming for it. Joe Biden's pretty okay for this. Obama wasn't. Obama is incredibly smart and well-spoken and just like ungodly charismatic. But holy shit, is that dude like clear? Like, for a fact that when that guy is like engaging with the common man, he's internally seething that an elite like him would have to like deign.
You think so?
The vibes I get from him are like contemptuously elitist. I like, to a psychopathic degree. It's all Patrick Bateman shit up in here.
I actually feel that's why I said aloof. I actually feel as though he is kind of like you described, because I've seen interactions with him and people before. That's
It's like
weird.
fucking Homelander, yeah. But Joe Biden, not Joe Biden. I legitimately think that if you saw Joe Biden at like a cafe or something, and you were like, "Oh, hey, Joe," he'd be like, "Hey, yeah." Like I genuinely think that he's got like the actual old man friendly vibe.
It could be that Joe Biden is that much more authentic just because he's older and he's just like, I don't give as much of a fuck as I used to give.
I kind of agree.
Maybe he's changed his policies so much because this is just a charitable reading that he's become a better man as he's gotten older, or, you know, dropped the whole gay thing. I don't know. That's just an argument that might be able to be made.
No, I think I agree. Yeah, maybe he's just really leaning into like the old man don't give a fuck energy, which again,
it's
like
weird.
I'll just let my advisor.
Kind of cute. You know?
It is cute. It is cute. I think you know when two young people, you know, when young people look at old people, go, "Oh, they're cute." Biden is that cute guy. You know, he puts his glasses on, he eats his ice cream, he falls off his bike and
Loves
with
gets
his Corvette Stingray.
Yeah.
Personally, I have nightmares about Dark Brandon. Personally,
do you? Yeah, I'm sure.
I do like that. It's a stupid meme, but playing into like stupid mimetic energy energizes people in a way Democrats don't get. Democrats still seem to think like people will get excited about like oh, here's my proposal for like a Pell Grant. Here's my like 12-step means tested look at how much better the economy will be. Dude, Americans don't give a shit about the economy. The average American,
learn through mimetics, just like you said.
Yeah, the average American has the intelligence of like a sea cucumber. They're nothing, okay? You give people narratives. Do good, don't get me wrong, do good policy-wise, but you have to give people a narrative to sell it. Not just like, you know, oh, here are some numbers that show things have gone up.